This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Underrated Movie Podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss films that are underrated, underappreciated, and ones that have passed under the radar and passed most people by. Today, we are going to be discussing a film that is having its 30th anniversary, and I know that I just made a lot of millennials, including myself, feel very, very old, and that would, of course, be Casper, the film directed by Brad Sibberling, written by Sherry Stoner, Deanna Oliver, and with an uncredited rewrite by J.J. Abrams. I am your host, Derek McDuff, and joining me today is Cole Garrison from The Welcome Party, a.k.a. The Rogue Geek. How's it going, Cole?
Hi, it's going great. Thanks for having me. For years, I feel like we've been talking about how I should be on the show, and I'm so happy to finally be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. I've had the other members of the Welcome Party on, and I just haven't gotten a chance to get you on. So I'm so glad that I'm finally getting a chance to have you here.
Yeah, they brag about it. They go like, "Hey, we did it," and I'm like over here going, "That one day I'll have my time."
Well, one day is today, Cole. What did you want to let the people, other than the Welcome Party, or if you want to let the people know what the Welcome Party is and what all the other stuff that you do before we dive into Casper too much?
Oh, I'm ready to dive into this movie. So for everyone who does not know, the Welcome Party is a podcast type show that we do live, not live anymore. Oh goodness, old link. But yeah, no, we put our episodes out on YouTube, and our whole thing is we want to be as inclusive and welcoming as possible because all of us on the show have been bullied or made fun of or felt like we weren't able to be part of something growing up. And so with geek culture, it is the most perfect thing to get into. And sometimes it can be daunting for whatever reason it is in your way. So our show is about talking about a topic in an introductory way, so you know if it's something you want to get into and do the research, or if it's something you're like, oh, you know what, I'm fine with that. But we're fun, and we love, honestly, I have loved the connections we've made over the years and all this content. I've never watched anime until JPG and Alex started making us do it. So there's that on the Welcome Party, which you can find us at Welcome Party Pod. And then you can find me on Twitch at The Rogue Geek 23, because apparently someone named The Rogue Geek decided to swoop in and take that name from me. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and like you guys, I am a fan of introducing people to things they might not have discovered. That is one of the reasons I love to do this podcast. And I think for our generation, Casper might hold a soft spot, but it's something that I feel like, and this might speak to the underratedness of it, has kind of fallen off in the intervening years, other than a couple memes on TikTok and stuff. It's not really remembered very well. And so my question to you then is, when I asked you, what do you want to talk about? You gave me 3 movies. 2 of them were actually very good choices that I've covered in the past. And the third one was Casper. And I was like, all right, well, then we've got to go with Casper. What made you pick Casper for your underrated choice here?
Oh my God. I almost didn't think it was underrated because everyone I know loves Casper. But when I looked it up, apparently 50%, like for everyone who loves it, there's someone who equally hates it. And it's at a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. Even the audience score was bad. And to me, this movie is Halloween. I almost went with, oh my God, not Dragon Age. Oh my God, Dragon Knight, no. Oh my God, why am I blanking on? I've been talking about it for all week because I was talking to JPG about it. Sean Connery's a dragon.
Dragon. Is it Dragon Heart? Is that what it's called? Where
Yes,
it's like, I'm a dragon. The
Yeah,
CG isn't quite there to get my mouth right.
I almost picked Dragonheart. I watched it before I chose it because anything I chose, I want to make sure. Yep, this is underrated, and it does not hold up. I was so like the music is great, but it looked like something out of Hercules. So with those top two choices that I made, I was like, okay, these for sure are underrated. And then Casper was like I love this movie. I hope you accept it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about it, and because like I said, this is one that I liked as a kid, but I had not gone back to it since the '90s. I don't think, like
What?
I vaguely remember getting to a Halloween party late where they were watching it, and so just catching the very end, and I remember watching a scene of it for like a Watch Mojo article that I was writing. Like I looked it up like 10 years ago now, which is insane. But yeah, so I hadn't really revisited it. So it was really kind of fun to go back to it, to this, millennial classic, which, yeah, like you said, it's, I think it holds a soft spot in certain people's hearts. And it did well financially, but not critically. Like you said, this movie was pretty much split down the middle when it came to a critic's reception. So, what is it that you love so much about this movie, and why has it stayed with you for 30 years?
This is Halloween to me. This movie, when the Halloween season starts, this is the first movie that I put on. Not Halloween Town, not a scary movie. I put on Casper. And there's one specific scene in this film that always gets me. And it is when the uncles come home and they terrorize Bill Pullman's character for the first time. And that the music, the way they shoot the scenes, the atmosphere, the humor that is thrown in there, to me, that is the spirit of Halloween for me. That is what gets me so into the spooky season, because I'm not a scary guy. I don't like the scary stuff. I absolutely love the cute Halloween where it's like, oh, it's scary, but it's like, nah, this is great. I could be friends with that monster. We're having a good time. But no, Casper, it has like this spirit of he just wants a friend. And because at the end of the day, Casper, that's all it is. He's alone. He doesn't feel like he belongs where he's at. He feels stuck. And then insert Cat and Bill Pullman's character, who's I keep forgetting his name, Dr. Harvey. So like it's an endearing story, and it's got the spooky vibes, and I absolutely love everything about the vibe of this film.
Yeah, I think you hit on a good point where I feel like there are two kinds of Halloween films. There's the scary and there's the kind of like fun spooky ones. You have your Exorcists and you have Halloween and all that stuff on one hand, which, don't get me wrong, those movies are very fun. I like to watch those at Halloween too. Halloween as well. I just watched Candyman, the original, for the first time in the theater the other night, which was fun.
I've never seen that. I've never seen Candyman.
Yeah, it was my first time ever watching it. So
was it good?
It was solid. It was solid, but a little bit dated, I feel like. But I definitely had a good time with it.
Yeah, I hate when you watch something and everyone's like, it's so great, but now you're older and you've seen all the tropes that have built on the brilliance of that film. But you're like, oh, killer in the closet, under the bed. Here comes 3, 2, 1. It just doesn't hit the same when you've seen the material that is based, like, that has grown because of it.
Right, yeah, 100%. And I think, it had a really good ending. And it was just like one of those movies that, like, also it was like one of those movies where it's like, oh, this is like a movie about like how tough it's to be like black in America was a big thing, but it's also made in the early 90s, so of course you have a white lead in that. Like it feels like when they did the reboot.
Not awkward.
Right. When they did the reboot of Candyman, they're like, okay, let's actually have a black lead in this. So that was but still a solid movie. I definitely liked it a lot overall. But then, so that's on one side. You have those kind of spooky movies, but then you have these more fun, like, hey, it's the fun Halloween. There's ghosts and ghouls and goblins, type thing. And I think for me, the big one of those was Hocus Pocus.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus is like an annual Halloween rewatch for me. That one means a lot to me. But Casper is that same vibe. The whole Casper's whole thing in the movie, the comics, everything. It's like that very clever subversion of like he's something that should be on its face scary. A ghost, that's a scary thing, and it starts off very like, okay, like these kids are going to this haunted house. And like you mentioned, Casper just wants a friend. He just wants to reach out to these kids and, be welcomed, like the welcome party does, like all, like geek culture, he's like, hey, some people my age, I'm 12 years old perpetually or whatever. And and then he, the Edward Cullen thing. And then, but, he just keeps scaring everyone off. And even when he's not scaring anyone off, his uncles are scaring everybody off. And the way that I love that this movie just kind of subverts that is like, no, he's a friendly ghost. He actually wants friendship. He wants to do good. He wants to connect, have a real connection. I love that they do it with when Kerrigan, the villain, kind of is first trying to deal with these ghosts. She goes about the ways that you would expect her to the point where they are parodying other movies of dealing with ghosts and demons and stuff like that, where you have that guy, the Italian, yeah, I'm an I've done it before, and then he gets his head twisted up and he's covered in the vomit like The Exorcist.
He's a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but did you know he's like Ghostbuster? He's an actual character.
Well, that's what. So first you get the guy that's riffing on The Exorcist, and then right after that you get the Ghostbuster. He's actually Dan Aykroyd, and it even says his character name, Raymond Stantz, on his thing. He's wearing the full Ghostbusters out. So they're parodying Ghostbusters, they're parodying The Exorcist. These are the ways you would just go in and like, oh, this is a spooky ghost, and you just get rid of them, because ghosts are just something scary to be dealt with. And then it's like, oh no, actually, the way we deal with like people or things that are like difficult for us, how do you deal with these? Therapy. She calls a ghost therapist, which I think is the masterstroke of this movie, and the way that you organically bring in Kat and Bill Pullman is they come here to try and help these characters out. These ghosts who start as very scary, which is apparently something that I saw that was mirrored from the actual original comics, is the Ghostly Three or whatever, like started as very mean, malicious characters, and they just kind of became like more pranksters that went on. And they kind of do that over the course of the movie, where it's like they're still like, we're like a little mean, we're going and getting drunk, but they're like at the end they're kind of big softies, and they're like, oh, we love this guy, he's helped them out dealing with their traumas, and Casper too, by therapy, and I think that can't be undersold how much of an important part of that movie that is.
Yeah, no, the fact that he's a therapist and his wife passed away and he needs therapy, but he won't. He's not accepting that she's gone, and so he's using all his tools to try and find his wife. I thought that was a pretty, like you said, a pretty unique take to ghost hunting, because it's not like Supernatural or Ghostbusters where they're going in, the ghosts are the villains and they have these tools. He's just like, all right, it's your hour. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I love that. That it's your hour line really got me. So, but I know I thought that was really good. I also love that he's a girl dad. I'd love to see a girl dad in a movie.
Yes!
I don't know. Have you seen One Battle After Another yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
If you love girl dads, I highly recommend that movie. He's also a girl dad who is struggling a lot, but Leo is so good in that movie, just like doing his best to his daughter. But I really like the performance in his, and you can tell from a young age, Christina Ricci was going places. I really like the the kind of father-daughter dynamic they have in this movie. What did you think about their kind of back and forth?
Absolutely. I'm a sucker for like when kids are solving problems and adults are idiots. The fact the way they show him of like, yes, he's the adult, he's the educated one, he's the one with the job, and it's why we're doing things. But he's driving to they're supposed to be going to the East Coast, and he's driving to the West Coast, and they
Mhm.
don't realize it until like they're on their way to Vegas, and they have to pull a Yui. That had me laughing. Her being able to fix the sockets,
Mhm.
so when the power goes out and she fixes it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, totally, I know how to do that, absolutely."
Mhm.
I love how she had to grow up, and she is still a kid,
Mhm.
and she's still like their dynamic was very I've seen it so many times in friends whose mom like parents either divorced or mom is no longer around. I've seen that dynamic a few times, and it always makes me smile whenever I see it on the big screen.
Yeah, it was it's a parentified eldest daughter. Like I've heard
Yeah,
that.
yes. My mom was that,
Mm.
where like all her brothers and sisters will be like, "Oh, you were basically like mom." So it's a trope that I will always be like smiley about, especially when it's done in a way where she's not rebellious and the
Mm.
the parent isn't stupid. It's like they don't go full stupid. They are knowledgeable, they know what to do, they know how to solve problems, but they are I don't know, like a dorky, I guess. He's
Yeah,
just like a
yeah.
dorky dad.
He's a big dork. Yeah, definitely a big dorky dad.
Yeah. What did you think of when you watch? Because you said you haven't watched it since the '90s.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the pace of the film? Because I love how this you don't realize it's done until like you get to the end. You go, oh my god, we're already at the end.
Yeah, this movie it really just rips. It is going very quickly and it doesn't feel rushed, but it is not wasting any time. It's just kind of going from beat to beat to beat. It's like, okay, the beginning happens, you set up, the scenario, you set up the characters and everything, then they're like right into it. They're not like it doesn't feel like there's an ounce of fat on this thing. I really
Right.
appreciate it. I really like and it does all that, but it establishes the characters and their dynamics so quickly and effectively. You have those character moment scenes where it's like they'll be driving, they're in the car together, they're just like talking, start doing a lot of just good storytelling. I love that moment where Pullman, you kind of know that like, oh yeah, he's doing this at least partially because he wants to talk to his dead wife again. Like that's kind of one of the driving forces for him. As they say, going from performing therapy for living people to performing therapy for the how's he put it, living challenged or something like that.
The living impaired.
The living impaired, perfect. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good. But he's like you said, he's still kind of damaged and dealing with this. And there's a beat, maybe like a third or about halfway through the movie, where he's talking to the ghost, and the ghosts are like, oh yeah, like we all kind of talk to each other, we know each other, we can get her here. And then you have that shining door, and I was like, this is way too early for this to be happening. Like this is clearly like some kind of setup, but they are really selling it here. And also they like just introduced this, like their plot point is going to come back at some point later, but they have a really solid comedic beat where like Fatso is like dressed up as
My man.
it's so good. And just have the Brad Garrett voice in that moment is perfect. But then it pays off really, really well at the end when you kind of get the angelic vision of his wife, who
Mm.
it was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh wait a minute, I had to like stop and figure out who it was, because I was like, oh wait, I know this actor, Amy Brenneman. She was, obviously much younger than when I was familiar with, so that's why it took me a second. But I don't know if you ever watched The Leftovers, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. She's a
Okay.
major character on that, so I was kind of like, oh, cool, Amy Brenneman. So it was cool to see her pop up in this.
I legitimately thought that was a no-name actress that just had one role because it's the '90s. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
kids movie. There's so many times you watch it to go, oh, she's clearly someone. That's a big part. And it's like, no, like maybe she got a commercial, but like there's not too many things. I love the conversation she has with Harvey, Dr. Harvey, at the end when she's like, look, you got to stop doing this. You have to start doing this. Because clearly that's where Kat got it from.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's like he does get this resolution at the end where he is, it's something that I think they also did really well in Dungeons and Dragons, the Honor Among Thieves movie that came out, where it is about this dad trying to bring back his wife for the sake of his daughter, but also for himself.
Yeah.
And at the end, kind of like learning to let that go and realizing that she still has a full, fulfilled life, and so does he without this. And I love that, she's not like a ghost with unfinished business. She says to him, she's like, I don't have any unfinished business. Like, I'm an angel, essentially. And I love that really great moment. And clearly, though, he had unfinished business when he bites, he eats it and is brought back as a ghost. I really love that whole ending where, there's the MacGuffin of the, like, vial of ectoplasmic whatever primordial goo, and it's like, okay, who's gonna be in this? Kerrigan obviously wants to use it so that she can. By the way, I'll just sidebar real quick. One of the worst villain plans of all time. Like, I'm going to kill myself so I can float through a wall, get a treasure, and then bring myself back from the dead. I'm like, you have a device that can bring someone back from the dead. That is more than whatever is in this chest. I'm sorry, Kerrigan.
To continue with that sidebar, it wasn't to kill herself. She wanted to kill
That's true.
Dibs. And I love how he instantly goes, oh, heck no. I'm going to follow you up to a point. I'm done at this. This is the line. We don't know if it's going to work. I'm not doing it. But I love that the treasure chest was actually, it's so valuable. Yes, bringing someone back to life, that's also $1 billion, $1 trillion idea. But if, let's say, she did her plan, she gets it, she comes back to life, and they open it, a baseball signed by Duke Snyder in pristine condition?
Yeah.
That's paying the bills. Like, when Dr. Harvey sees this, he's like, Casper, this house needs to have electricity, and this will make us never have to worry about money ever again.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'm just saying, like, as valuable as it is, you have literally conquered death. That is pretty powerful and impressive. Casper, you think he's gonna get brought back, and then it's like, oh no, of course the dad gets brought back. Who, by the way, don't put open trenches next to bars with people drunks wandering out of them. I will just say poor city planning, in my opinion. But I love that whole ending where it's like, who's going to be able to, the one to use this MacGuffin? The bad guy wants it, the good guy wants it, but then the good guy kind of has to sacrifice himself, his own dream, for the greater good, for the person that he loves. Because I will say, I'll let you get to your point, but that Casper has been acted, I think, kind of selfishly in this movie when it comes to Kat.
Yes.
That can I keep you stuff. Like, it's almost borderline creepy, but then
he's a ghost.
Yeah, and all he wants to do is just be able to touch her, and then he gives that up.
Phrasing. Oh my God, phrasing. He wants to hold her hand. He wants to hold her hand.
He wants to also give her a smooch. Let's be clear. He does creepily give her a smooch while she's like laying in bed asleep. Don't do that to girls. Don't do that to your friend if they're like falling asleep. Don't just be like, and a little kiss from me. Hard pass on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does give all of that up, and ultimately is, a good friend, and sacrifices his dream. so that she can have her dad back. But yeah, what were you gonna say about that?
Oh, I was gonna say I don't even know if it's canon. I don't know if this is a thought that exists because the Casper movies that come out after this, they give the ghosts more features. But how I like to think of it, in the original Casper, the 96 one, or 90, what years?
95, yeah.
The 95 one, yeah, right, 30 years. Math! Is that when you first pass away and you have all your unfinished business, you still have your memories. You still are you, which is why he has the hair and the jacket. And that's why Kerrigan, she had her girl boss suit. They still had their features. And then in my head, like I said, don't know if this is canon or not, but in my head, as time goes on, they slowly fade away. And they start becoming just ghosts.
Okay. I like that headcanon because that was something I had a little bit of a problem with, where it's like Bill Pullman is like looking like Bill Pullman amid a ghost, and these other ones are just like cartoons. And
yeah,
I like your universe canon for justifying that, because that's clearly because like you're basing this ghost off a real person, and these other ghosts are just like supposed to be ghosts, you know?
Right.
And it's almost interesting when you have like the real Casper show up, and you're like, oh, that's what I guess what he would look like as a boy. I thought that was interesting, but it leads me to another point of like, I think that for the time, this movie only comes out 2 years after Jurassic Park. I think that for the time, the CG in this is very impressive. Like,
yes,
this is like the first movie with fully like CG main characters, and they're, you know, very basic by today's standards, but they worked within the limitations of the time. They're like, this is a ghost. We just need to make him be kind of like floating and have like facial expressions and be able to like warp them out, Rushmore posters and stuff.
Right.
You hit like it's the same thing with Toy Story, right? The reason Toy Story is about toys is because, hey, the CG stuff we're doing looks kind of plasticky and fake. We'll make them literal toys. So I thought that was a very good use of the technology they had available to them.
No, I completely agree. Here's the thing is, that CGI stands up for today's graphics. All the things that all those animators are being put through of like, hey, you have 2 months to put on this project, and they're like doing their best, and I feel for them, and the Hollywood studios need to get their act together, understand that it takes time to create these kind of works. But those ghosts, I believe they use the same technology that they did for Roger Rabbit, where the actual animatronics are moving, well, not animatronics, the sword, the chairs, everything is being moved by them, and they're animating the ghosts into that spot. So it holds up so well. The ghosts are supposed to look that way, and there's some movies I've gone back to and I've gone like, oh, that looked more real when I remember it. Or like video games, you're like, oh
right.
yeah, no, nothing will beat Madden 2002. And
it's just like a block man moving around.
Yeah, it's just constantly, it's so awkward. But Casper, those ghosts, I'm looking at pictures right now. Having it being the white in the front and kind of fade towards the back was brilliant. And I know that's kind of like what Casper looked like in the cartoon show. But they could have easily done all white. They could have had him running around. They could have done anything, but that whole like kind of see-through-esque with the cartoon eyes and not trying to make it realistic like Ugly Sonic, I think was brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you brought up that they use the same technology that they use with Roger Rabbit, because this movie's cinematographer was Dean Cundey, who is one of the all-time greats. You know, he works a lot with both John Carpenter and Robert Zemeckis, so he has quite a bit of experience when it comes to shooting horror movies. That's why the scenes in this that are supposed to be a little bit more spooky do kind of like really conjure up that like
hit
horror. Yeah, but also because he's the same guy who worked on Roger Rabbit, he knew how to shoot all this shit. And that is what was insane to me about movies from like the early 90s or the late 90s, even into the early 2000s, is that you would get this guy in 1995. Dean Cundey made 2 movies This was one of them. The other is Apollo 13. And it's like, why did you guys go that fucking hard? It's like, one is this like prestigious drama, this real life tragedy with directed by Ron Howard and all these big names. Tom Hanks is there. And the other one's like, it's a spooky movie for kids with ghosts. And it's like, that's insane to me.
It gets better because, so you had him working on the set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that musical score? Do you know who did it?
I don't.
James Horner, the guy who did Braveheart, Titanic. I think he was on Apollo 13. He also he did
Aliens?
Amazing Spider-Man. He did Aliens. Like he was an epic movie score. Five Goes West. He has such a pristine record. But anyway, the fact that this movie had these people working on it, I kind of feel like either everyone was just a fan of the cartoon, or it was, hey guys, you want to do something fun before we get all depressed and make all these intense movies? Because it's just, I don't know how you feel about theatrical scores, films, but they can make or break some films for me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm gonna mention it because I feel like I have to. It's like a bingo card thing, like the Snyder Cut. Sorry, couldn't resist.
For those who are not familiar with Cole's work, he loves the Snyder Cut to the point where, like, I remember talking about my director's cut panel, and someone mentioned the Snyder Cut, and just like seeing your face in the back, just like you better be fucking nice to the Snyder Cut.
Well, it was like everyone kind of looked at me, and I was like, I swear to God. But, that was also a really good San Diego Comic-Con panel.
Thank you.
Good job.
I appreciate that.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, the Flash scene where he's resetting time and he's going to go push it. That scene is fine. It's time travel. It's rewinding. We've seen it a million times. But the score that is makes it so much more impactful. So for Casper, those scenes when like my favorite scene, right? The spooky when the uncles are going after Bill Pullman. That the use of the choir, the use of I don't even know how to describe it, but it's 90s. It's 90s kid movie music, and it hits that nostalgia heartstring so hard, and it puts me into that place. It puts me back into that magical spot. The loves, like the lighthouse music that gets used all the time, where like when the angel comes down, I don't know if it hit you the same way, but it makes that was just as much an actor and a character in this film as the actual characters and actors.
No, I 100% agree. I think that the film score is such an important, under talked about element of a movie that really can make so much of a difference. I was in a film major, but with the one film class I did take in college was film scores. I forget what the class was called.
Oh, okay.
The film music class. So, I learned all about like these different composers and the history of film music and all of this really fascinating stuff. And, I was thinking about, since you mentioned James Horner, when I was watching Candyman last night, one of the trailers they played, I was watching The Long Walk. Candyman was 2 nights ago. Not that it matters, but and one of the trailers they played was for Avatar 3.
Oh yeah,
and obviously James Horner is not directly involved in that since he passed away a number of years ago, but he did the score for the original Avatar, and they are using riffs on his scores, variations of his Avatar theme for these new movies. And I was watching the trailer, and I'm not someone who gives a shit about Avatar, but like seeing that trailer, I was like, holy shit, I am ready to go back to Pandora. This looks epic. And I think, honestly, the heavy lifting from that was coming from that score. The like orchestral, like, like, damn, let's fucking go. Like, Jake Sully, fuck these guys up. Like, I was so into it. And I really was like, and I even had in that moment the thought of like, am I actually into this, or is this just a well-cut trailer with a score that is getting me into it? Yeah. And his score in that movie, in Wrath of Khan, in whatever, is so different than this. So it really showed that he could do it all. And it's interesting because we're talking about how there's so much talent behind the camera and in front of the camera, for that matter, in this movie. The one thing I'm kind of surprised by is the director, Brad Silberling, this was his first ever movie. I guess Steven Spielberg saw some TV work that he did, because this is an Amblin movie.
Right.
And was like, I like this guy. I'm going to let him direct a movie. He does a couple things, like later on. He does City of Angels. He does the series of Unfortunate Events movies. It's Land of Lost. That's the last thing he does. It's interesting because they have all of these really big, important people, cinematographer, choreographer, like musical score, and then they just like, this guy from TV, he's going to direct it. So I was like, that was an interesting choice for me. I don't know. Any thoughts about like the direction overall of this movie and stuff?
Honestly, I did not know that it was his first film.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, what I like to think about is, well, it's like Jurassic Park. We'll spare no expense. Sir, we've run out of money. Okay, who's out of college? Who can we get that we're going to do a favor? Because maybe, I don't know, I feel like it was directed well. Like also, when you have this kind of talent, you kind of don't have to do anything. You just got to be like, this is what we're hoping for, and then you just let it all happen. Yeah, I wish I had more to give you on the director. I have nothing really of note outside of maybe they just ran out of money.
Right, it's interesting because I'm like, Spielberg was also a guy who came from TV, so maybe he's like, all right, this is going to be the pipeline. I'm going to get this like TV guy in here, and like I do have a respect for like a journeyman kind of director. I like a Joe Dante or something like that. He's necessarily a journeyman, but like these guys who are just kind of like they're not. There's not as many ones for them as there are ones for you. They're doing a lot of like, this is a assignment that I'm working on. Like Steven Spielberg would come and say, this is the movie I'm going to make. As opposed to this guy is getting hired and Steven Spielberg is coming to Brad Silberlinger. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say.
You know what? It's not an easy one. It's like it's the L before the B, because you want to be like, I'm a Silberling. Wait, no, Silberling.
But yeah, I have a yeah, sorry, Brad. But I have a lot of respect for these kind of directors, and one of my absolute favorite directors is a guy that's very much like that, Joe Johnston, who his story is really interesting. He got started like as working like at Lucasfilm, and then just working at ILM, and then George Lucas paid for him to go to film school, and now he directed like Rocket Man and the first Captain America and all these great movies. So I always love when it's just like, hey, this isn't a big name director that you're going to sell your movie on, but there's still a lot of competence there. This is still a really well-made movie, and it's clear that, he working in TV, he kind of honed his craft, and probably is really good at working with actors. And to talk about actors for a little bit, we talked about how we like the performances a lot. I don't know about you, but growing up in the 90s, I definitely had a big old crush on my favorite spooky girl, Christina Ricci, and this and the Addams Family were like,
oh, okay,
like definitely like major texts for me. So I wasn't as much of a creep as Casper was, but I was like, all right, cat in this movie, I get it, I get it.
No, I definitely, she was not one of my crushes as a little kid, but I'm trying to think of Bill Pullman when I was a kid. He was in this one. My mom loved While You Were Sleeping, obviously Armageddon. So it was interesting seeing him in this role because he was always like the cool guy.
Independence Day?
Yeah, and that's what I meant. I said Armageddon. I meant Independence Day. Thank you.
No worries.
It was, it was just interesting seeing him in this role. And then obviously Eric Idle. I think I saw a lot. I saw a lot of his stuff, but I had no idea. He was always like that funny guy that I saw in movies.
Yeah, he has a really good dynamic in this with Kathy Moriarty.
So good. It has no business being that level of back and forth where I'm like, did you guys work together before? Like,
their comedic chops are so good because they're both like nefarious, evil people who will clearly have because they're selfish. People have no qualms about like screwing the other one over, but they're also very loyal to each other. Like him, maybe more so than the other. And it's like I was watching it. I was like, are they like doing it? Like, what's going on? Like, I was just like, and then she gives him that kiss at one point. It's like kind of like, all right, that I guess ties off that question slash plot line in an interesting way. But he's it's funny because he's clearly very like loyal to his evil boss, but he's also just like, yeah, if I could get mine, I'm gonna get mine, and screw you. So I thought their dynamic, him being kind of like the sniveling underling, flips that like gender dynamic that you usually see in these type of things. I thought that was also a really interesting take. They're both just so freaking good, though.
I was really hoping that he was going to come back as a ghost.
Yeah, I thought
Because
so too.
when she goes, you have a plane to catch, and then he gets knocked out the window. Either one, he was content. There was no unfinished business for him. He has done it all. Or two, he survived. Just imagine you find him like in like a full body cast, and you're just like, what happened to you? Well, I was knocked out a window and I went flying. Women, right?
So obviously we talk about the ending and how that happens, and then they kind of trick her to be like, I have no unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she goes to hell in that moment? Because they've clearly established like you can go to heaven. I was just like, oh, white light is shooting out of her, but I'm like, I don't feel like she's going to heaven at this moment, like based on her actions in the movie.
I honestly, I don't know where she would go, because the only thing that she did that's evil is she wanted what she thought was owed to her after taking care of her sick father.
For 2 days. She does say for 2 days.
Yeah, for 2 days I held his clammy hand. I don't know if she is innately evil outside of like, because even when she goes to kill Dibs, it's because she can bring him back. So there's no it's not murder. It's gonna be an inconvenient for a couple seconds and boop, you're back. The only one who is truly evil in this moment is Dibs. When she's died. Now you have to bring her back, and he goes, "You're gonna watch me live it up, baby." So is she? Do you curse on this show?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay, is she a bitch? Absolutely. She even says the bitch is back, but
yes.
I don't know if she's evil. So when she has the lights going through her, I don't think she goes to heaven. I think she goes to like the middle space, where if you watch The Good Place, it's like the in between spot. Or yeah, I don't think she like. Also, I'm hoping that if she is going to hell, that they would do something from Ghost, where like the and then come dragging her down.
Okay, yeah, that's because I was just like, it doesn't feel like Ghost or like Drag Me to Hell or something where she's being taken down. It felt like a very angelic thing, and I was like, I'm glad you have such a forgiving take on the character, but I was just like, she sucks. I don't know why she's getting into heaven right now. That was kind of just like a moment where I was like, well, that's an interesting take.
Well, that's why I love this film is like the stakes aren't really that high. Yeah. She's trying to survive she's a new kid at school.
Mm-hmm.
And then Casper wants a friend. Kerrigan is just trying to get an inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the paying Dr. Harvey to get the ghosts out is because they're in the way of her trying to find the treasure, not to murder anyone and not to completely destroy the lives of the children of Salem. It is 1,000,000% just, I just want money. I have a certain lifestyle. This is all I want. Why does Flipper get more money than me? Like, so to me, not evil, but you know who I wish got it worse?
Huh.
The rich, spoiled blonde girl. Clearly that she sucks. And I'm happy they didn't spend more time on her storyline because there's not much to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just October 3rd, and I feel like she grows up to be the mean girl.
Right. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. She definitely. And I was curious what they were going to do with that plot line, because they clearly introduced like, it seems like it's going to be like a love triangle with like her and then her like boyfriend who's like, oh, I don't want to do it. But then it's just like, no, like he was just a red herring. Like he sucks. He was just like working for, like they were like, I was like, oh, are they going to like do a Carrie to her? Like I was like, that's what I was thinking of, was like Kat is like the Carrie in this situation, and like she's like, oh, I'm at the party, and like I've just gotten like, this is my house, and I've just gotten named the prom queen, and they're gonna like do something, probably not pour a bucket of blood, because as we said, this is a kids movie, but something akin to that.
Red paint.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, I'm happy they didn't because
Mhm.
I love that the school's gonna be like her place is freaky, she's scary, but it's not a hateful place.
Mhm.
But man, if they would have done that, Carrie, and then the ghosts come out and get revenge for her,
Mhm.
oh, ooh.
Yeah, yeah, that would be well, because that speaks to, we talked about there's a couple references in this movie to Ghostbusters: The Exorcist, but there's also a moment I was like completely like memory hold where there's Clint Eastwood and like Rodney
The Crypt
Dangerfield
Keeper.
show up. Yes, and
Mhm.
the Crypt Keeper. I was like, this is a very very interesting, just kind of like one-off beat that they put in there, just because it felt like maybe these guys owed Steven Spielberg some favors. I thought that was a funny moment. What did you think of that moment?
Oh my god! I want to know if I want to know how expensive that moment was for this children's film because first, as a kid, I thought that's what they looked like in real life. So I
Okay, yeah,
thought Stinky was. I thought no, hold on. I thought Clint Eastwood was Stretch. I thought, oh, what's the fat guy's name?
yeah.
Dangerfield.
Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield.
I thought he was Fatso, and then I thought Mel Gibson was Stinky. I thought that's what the joke they were making, and then the
Oh.
Crypt Keeper comes out. But it was just it wasn't that deep, man. It wasn't that deep. It was
I like that read though, honestly. Like that would be a funny read if it was like, this is what these guys all look like in real life. That would be a pretty funny bit. And I thought it was also funny that it was just like, because that was the time where like Mel Gibson, the most famous handsome man in the world.
yeah.
Every woman wants him. And it was like, it's one of those things you look back now and you're like, I guess he's kind of hot. Like we didn't know how crazy he was back then.
Yeah, well, well, yeah. And then also like I don't know if you've watched old superhero movies when they're quote unquote ripped, but like
Mhm.
nowadays you're like, so is that his before photo? Like
Yeah.
there's not that many muscles on that superhero.
Yeah, no, I was just rewatching, and I'm talking about this on a bonus episode of my other podcast, but I was just rewatching X-Men, and like,
Oh,
it's insane because like Hugh Jackman is like a strong person, but he's he's shirtless in like that beginning scene where he's in that bar brawl, and you're like,
mhm.
look at how tough this guy is, and it's like he just looks like a regular strong person, and now like 25 years later, he's like in his like 60s or something, and he's so much more ripped and dehydrated than
Yeah.
normal. It's just like that's not what people look like, It's so yeah. That's
He
a
looks
very
like
good point.
he looks like Jim Lee Drew him in the 90s now.
Yeah.
And when back then you're like, no, that's a legitimate strong guy. He's not like beefy, but like there's muscle there. Like you don't want to fight him, and the adamantium helps. But yeah, no.
Yeah, yeah. Like, why is Paul Rudd so ripped? Like, why he doesn't need to be that ripped?
Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
I just can you imagine if if Casper instead of "Come with me if you want to live," doing that reference with a Superman Casper chest, if he
Mhm.
was just shredded instead,
Yeah,
like
that would
he's
make more sense. I was like, why is he Superman but doing the Arnold voice? That was one moment I was like, why? I don't understand what you're doing here because that's two clashing references for me.
well this film was filled of references.
Yes.
There's also a ton of sexual innuendos
Oh
that
yes.
I whose head is poking me? That's not my head. Ah! That had me laughing, but the Marky Mark he's not went over my head for so long until I think it was when he was making a Transformers film and they did a documentary of how far he's come. And I went, oh, and then it clicked. Marky Mark, he used to be a rapper. He had a book dedicated to his penis. It was like, oh my God, I forgot all about all this stuff.
Yeah, and he actually, unlike our other 90s rapper novelty act that turned into a famous actor, has actually stayed as an actor, unlike Will Smith, who is now doing weird AI videos of himself rapping again.
I don't know what Will Smith. I'm happy that Will Smith is not in Casper because now when I see films that he's in, it just kind of makes me go like, because he's not he's fine, right? But
Mhm.
the older he gets, the more like cringy he's becoming, and it's
Oh,
at
yeah.
least up until now, unless something is wrong, at least his cringe is not like, oh, he's racist or oh, he's
Right.
like he hates people. It's just why would you do that? Like
Yeah, yeah.
just no, stop. Stop.
Yeah, 100%. So, not quite the Mark Wahlberg cringe. Don't look too deeply into that unless you want to be depressed. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, man. To go back to something you had said earlier that I wanted to put a pin in. You talked about the sequels to this movie, because there's a couple direct-to-DVD, I guess they're technically prequels, for this film that I considered watching, and one of them actually, it's the one I remember. I don't know if I ever saw it, but I remember like being very aware of it when I was a kid, which is Casper and Wendy the Witch, which is the debut of Hayden Panettiere, by the way, first movie she'd ever been in. Did you watch the sequels? Because I couldn't bring myself to do it for the podcast, but did you watch them?
I've only seen that one.
Okay,
that's the only one I saw. I thought it was Hilary Duff was the witch.
Was it Hilary? You might be right. I might have just got. I think you might be right. It is Hilary Duff. I just got my like young blonde icons from the '90s mixed up. But I think you're right. I think it is Hilary Duff.
Because when I was a little kid, the Lizzie McGuire show, that I had a crush on her. So
that was your crush. Okay, I had a crush on the one in the girl that is. Yeah, I'm looking at a poster that is 100% Hilary Duff. That's my bad. But yeah, so I had a crush on the cat in this movie, and you had a crush on Wendy in the next one.
Nope. We're not gonna say that. Nope. Because Lizzie, Hilary Duff is like a child in this film, so we're not gonna say.
I'm saying when you were also a child, like it was.
Yeah, but even like, so the thing is, at least Cat was like age appropriate for you. Mm-hmm. Whereas for me, Lizzie McGuire was age appropriate.
Okay,
Wendy is not. Fair. I'm not putting that out on the internet. Nope. That we can let other people be on that list, not me. Thank you very much. But no, the Wendy and Casper, it was so cute. Also, like the villains were like creepy, and for her, she had ants, so that's how they connected. It's actually really cute if you want to watch it. Casper 1 is by far the best one of all the Caspers, but that one is a good, cute film to watch.
Okay, so is Shelley Duvall and Terry Garr, are they her aunts? Because I'm seeing them in the cast list. Wow, that's like surprisingly good casting for a direct-to-video Casper sequel. Like those are some heavy hitters. Like I know they weren't as popular in the 90s as they were in like the 80s and 70s, but damn, they're still great actors. Like, okay. Wow, that's cool. Because I had really considered watching it for this, and I just kind of like ran out of time.
Where did you find it?
It was on the sequel.
Yeah.
Where is it streaming? That's a good question. I just
find it anywhere.
That's see. Let me see. Yeah, let me go to like Just Watch or like let's see Letterboxd and see if it says it's streaming anywhere, and it is not streaming on any services. And yeah, you cannot watch it anywhere. So yeah, I guess even if I had decided to watch this movie, I would not have been able to. So you know what? Good point. And so yeah, that's something that I'm always curious about is like these movies that just kind of disappear from existence. And yeah, this one seems to have just vanished. Ironically enough.
Was it a Weinstein film? Because there's a lot of Weinstein films are now vaulted.
Let's see. No, it doesn't look like it.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, so yeah, it looks like it was just from Saban, or who made all the Power Rangers movies.
Weird.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
When cool, creamy ranch meets tangy, bold buffalo, the whole is greater than the sum of its sauce. Say howdy, partner, to new Buffalo Ranch sauce. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
At participating McDonald's.
Go Power Wendy.
But I don't know. Was there anything else about Casper you wanted to mention here that we haven't talked about yet?
Honestly, we've hit so many things. Like, I can't stress enough that this film sets up the Halloween season, and it is a great film to like put on to just get you like excited for like. 'Cause I miss that era of Halloween where all the stores had the cute night like decorations. Like there was people trick or treated. I know as you get older, you start to see things doesn't feel the same as when you were younger. But like, I don't like my street is bare and empty on Halloween. And my first year I lived here, I got all this candy to hand out to trick or treaters, and no one showed up. and I had candy for like 3 months because I bought too much. But like I just miss the feel of 90s Halloween, and this film hits it so well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like whoever's out there, do a double feature with this and Hocus Pocus, because I feel like that will transport you back to another decade. And
Yes.
if you're a bit younger than us, go and watch. And if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it for the first time, because I feel like there's certain, like you said, there's certain movies that you love when you're a kid, and you go back, you're like, does this really hold up? And I think this one did in a lot of ways. And it's very much a movie of the time and place that it was made, and that's always fun to go back to. But yeah, my last question for you, Cole, is, so obviously this was part of a big trend that was bigger in the 90s. It still kind of continues today, but of taking these properties from like the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and being like, all right, kids, you have no idea what this is, but we're going to make a movie out of Casper. And now that, if you think of Casper, you probably think of this movie. You know, obviously they did the same thing with the Brady Bunch. There's a lot of things that got back that kids would not have had really any familiarity with. If you were going to see a movie made from like a property of the past that people might not be familiar with anymore, and it could be, you know, from our childhood, or it could be earlier than that, whatever, what would you like to see?
Oh, so like, does it matter? Does it be live action? Like, is there any rules?
Let's say we're making a live action version of something, whether it was a comic or it could have been live action originally, but just something, maybe some that dads watched, like how Mission Impossible started as a TV show for dads in like the 60s, 70s, whatever.
Oh man. The problem for me is everything that I would pick is kind of being turned into they're reusing the properties, because everything that I loved watching, they're redoing. Because I would say I would love to see Buffy and Angel come back, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is doing that right now. Firefly is kind of like it's kind of done. Actually, there's one that I would love to see. Because originally I would say I want to see more DuckTales. Like, if you have not seen the remastered DuckTales, you need to watch it, because the new cast is phenomenal. But there's one show that I would love to see get a chance at good writing and a legit budget. Street Sharks. I would love to see Street Sharks.
God, I remember Street Sharks. Street Sharks was one of my favorite things when I was a kid. And like, on the surface, like, it's just kind of a knockoff of the Ninja Turtles, but it's so like, it takes that like 90s radicalness up to like the next level. Like, dude, I
can't defend it either. Like, people go, it sucks. I'm like, it does. It's not good. Or, if this is trending right now, and I would love to see this, Small Soldiers 2. I would love to see Small Soldiers either reboot it with like the same Gorgonites versus
bring back David Cross too. I would say no matter what,
or do a continuation. But I would love to see more Small Soldiers.
Okay, that's cool. You know what you reminded me of when you said Street Sharks is another 90s show that I would love to see, that was animated, that I would love to see a live action movie. How about a Gargoyles movie? How sick would that be?
Is that happening? I think Disney.
Maybe it is. I don't know. There's probably something in the works, but
that Gargoyles and Batman Beyond are those two properties that get floated all the time. Gargoyles would go so hard, and it would be so good. And the voice cast, I think, is still around, so it would sound like Gargoyles for us. And you need that Goliath voice. You need him. I can't think of his name, but he was in the Riddick movies. He's the president in Rick and Morty.
Keith David.
Keith David would he could do Goliath right now.
It's like the same way you got Peter Weller to come back and be Optimus Prime in the Transformers. Like, Keith David still has such an iconic voice. He's still like doing his thing. You know, like whenever I hear him in a like show or movie, I'm always just like, that's the guy right there. Like, and I did just look up like Gargoyles, like, and like the film adaptation. It's one of those things that like Disney has the rights for. They've been like, and it's like every 7 or 8 years, like a piece of news will come up and it's like, in 2011, like these two writers were working on it, and then in 2018, Jordan Peele pitched a script. So I would love to see like a Jordan Peele Gargoyles movie, but apparently that's been the last like news of it was 7 years ago.
Jordan Peele doing Gargoyles may actually be too scary. He may go too that he might break the world with that film, because he would have you learn a lesson while thinking it was cool, and then you'd be scared of every gargoyle that you ever see in the world.
Right, yeah. It would be like the Final Destination thing of driving behind a truck, but for gargoyles. Like, I agree.
What makes me laugh is people go like, I don't get what's so scary about it. And I'm like, just watch the trailer. You don't even have to watch the film. Just watch the trailer. I always change lanes. And the thing in California, we don't have that many trucks that have those boulders anyway. So when I do see them, I'm like, nope, not testing fate. Not that one truck.
You're not gonna get me today, Grim Reaper.
Not today.
Not today. Tony Todd warned me. Yeah, man. This was a blast. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about Casper with me. I'm glad, like I said, I finally got to have you on. Completed the Trinity like Thanos, getting all the different hosts of the welcome party. So this was fun. Yeah, one more time, where can people find you and all of your stuff?
Yeah, seriously, thank you for having me. This was honestly such a great conversation to have, and I never really get to talk about Casper. But you can find me on the Welcome Party, which is at Welcome Party Pod on YouTube or on Instagram, or you can find me at The Rogue Geek on everything except for Twitch, where it's The Rogue Geek 23. So that's how you can find me. But seriously, Derek, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
I had a blast. I knew it was going to be good to have you on, and I'm glad we finally got it done, because this has been a great episode. So definitely look forward to having you back at some point, because once was not enough.
Yeah, we can even talk about something that is, in my mind, underrated, but the world says it sucks, and even I will be like, you know what? Yeah. Have you done Shadow yet?
No, I haven't.
With Alec Baldwin?
No, yeah, I haven't done that. I haven't actually ever even seen that movie.
It's so good, but it's so bad.
Okay, that one is saved for you, Cole. That is. I will reserve that for you. If anybody else comes to me with a Shadow, I say sorry. Mr. Garrison has that one.
Okay, I'll take it. Not Mr. Garrison. No, no.
I didn't even mean to do that.
It slips out. My favorite is always when someone realizes what my last name is. You can just see the sparkle in their eye as they go like, oh, Mr. Garrison, and you're like, no.
The amount of times I get like Duff Beer or like Duff Man, like that. So I or Derek Zoolander just with my first name, so I get it.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. If this is your first time listening because you're a fan of Cole's, we've got a whole backlog of 175 plus episodes talking about all kinds of underrated movies, including episodes with JPG and Alex. I also do a couple of other podcast things, including Infinity Stones and Dragon Bones. Whenever there's a new Marvel property, I do an episode on that over on Infinity Stones Dragon Bones. I also co-host another podcast called the Midnight Film Society, where it's more recently released stuff. Me and my buddy Damien will be just talking about whatever movies have come out recently and, film trends, anything like that. And then you can find all that by going to underratedmoviepodcast.com. You can also go to patreon.com/underratedmoviepodcast for other bonus content. I am going to be releasing 3 bonus episodes over the fall/winter, talking about pre-MCU Marvel movies, or shows. I talked about the 90s Spider-Man show, I talked about the 2000s X-Men, and there's going to be one more episode which you are able to vote on now, or the poll might be closed by the time this is out. But there's also time is weird when it comes to podcasting.
Thank you for your votes, but yours, you missed the moment. You missed the time.
But you can find all that on my Patreon and also my whole bonus podcast, Across the Second Dimension, where I look at 3D films and see if they held up in 2D. And starting next year, I'm going to be doing a new bonus podcast looking at Amadeus in depth called Minute Deus. So definitely check all of that out. Follow Underrated Movie Podcast on all the socials. And one more time, Cole, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was great.
All right, see you guys all later.